Not everyone deserves access to you. This is not arrogance, it is awareness. When you begin to value your time, your energy, and your peace, you will naturally become more selective about who gets to be close to you. Every relationship in your life is either an investment or a cost. And while love, kindness, and generosity are powerful virtues, they should never be misused as doorways for people to walk in and deplete you. You have a limited amount of emotional, mental, and spiritual energy each day. If you allow the wrong people to constantly tap into that reserve, you will soon find yourself exhausted, discouraged, and disconnected from your true purpose. There are people who don't come into your life to support you. They come to siphon from you. They come with need, with chaos, with expectation, but rarely with gratitude, loyalty, or truth. And if you've ever tried to save someone who didn't want to be saved, you know the pain of carrying someone else's weight while they drag you down. The most dangerous form of emotional theft isn't loud, it's quiet. It's found in the constant texts, the subtle guilt trips, the silent expectations, and the never-ending drama you didn't ask for, but are made to feel responsible for. You do not owe your presence to anyone who disregards your peace. You do not need to keep doors open for people who only show up when it benefits them. The more you grow, the more you will understand that boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They don't keep people out. They keep your purpose clear. Saying no isn't rejection, it's direction. It's your way of saying, I value myself enough to not be accessible to what weakens me. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. And when you finally decide that your peace is non-negotiable, your circle will shrink, but your clarity will grow. You'll begin to notice who respects your time, who uplifts your spirit, and who genuinely wants the best for you without hidden agendas. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to live fully, speak truth, protect your spirit, and grow with intention. So be selective. Protect your inner space. Not everyone deserves access to you. The victim mentality is a silent saboteur. It hides behind stories of pain, of betrayal, of unfair treatment, and it demands your sympathy while rejecting your solutions. At first, you may feel compassion. You may want to help, to uplift, to support. But over time, you begin to notice a pattern. Every conversation circles back to blame. Every opportunity for growth is dismissed. Every setback is someone else's fault. These individuals are not looking to heal. They are looking to stay in the center of their own tragedy. And if you're not careful, their narrative becomes your burden. There is a difference between someone who has been wounded and someone who chooses to remain wounded. The former seeks healing. The latter seeks validation for their suffering. They wear their pain like armor and identity, not as a season to overcome, but as a story to protect. The danger in being close to such people is that you become emotionally entangled in their unresolved past. You begin to adjust your words to avoid triggering them. You walk on eggshells. You carry guilt that doesn't belong to you. And slowly, your emotional landscape becomes cluttered with their shadows. This mentality feeds on attention, not action. It does not empower, it entraps. It keeps people small, afraid, and stuck in a loop of helplessness. And while empathy is noble, enabling is destructive. You cannot carry someone who refuses to stand. You cannot fix what someone will not face. Your kindness should not become the foundation of someone else's excuses. There comes a point when you must ask yourself, am I helping, or am I being drained? Am I building this person up, or am I being pulled down into their cycle of stagnation? Your presence should never become the emotional crutch for someone else's avoidance of responsibility. Growth requires truth, and truth sometimes sounds like, I can't do this for you anymore. The victim mentality is seductive because it demands nothing and explains everything. But it also changes nothing. And if you want to live with clarity and purpose, you must learn to recognize it in others and in yourself. Choose healing over helplessness. Choose accountability over excuses. And most importantly, choose to protect your energy from the quiet destruction of those who refuse to rise. Envy disguises itself as loyalty. It wears the mask of friendship, of support, of admiration, but behind the smile is silent competition. These are the people who clap when you win, but their hands are heavy. Their congratulations are hollow, and their compliments are laced with subtle tension. They act like they're with you, but deep down, your success unsettles them. It exposes their own stagnation, their unmet goals, their buried potential, and instead of being inspired, they become resentful. They don't want to grow with you. They want to quietly pull you back to where they feel safe. You must understand that not everyone around you is happy for you. Some people are only comfortable when you are struggling because it confirms their belief that they are not behind. The moment you begin to rise, their tone changes. They minimize your achievements, question your decisions, and mock your dreams under the disguise of realism. They'll say they're just being honest or just concerned, but their words aim to plant doubt, not wisdom. That is the subtle art of envy. It does not attack directly, it erodes from within. These people will often remain close, not because they love you, but because they want to monitor you. They want to stay near enough to see your progress, but not far enough to lose access. They feed on comparison and pretend it's support. And if you're not paying attention, you'll start shrinking yourself to make them comfortable. You'll second guess your ambition, your happiness, your growth, because you're afraid of outgrowing the ones who once felt familiar. You are not responsible for the insecurities of others. Your light is not too much. Your success is not arrogance. Your dreams are not a threat. Stop dimming yourself to keep someone else from feeling small. If someone can't celebrate you without bitterness, they are not for you. Loyalty is not silent resentment. True friends are not jealous, they are proud. They push you higher, they speak life into you, and they stand beside you without competition. The presence of envy is not your fault, but your response to it is your responsibility. Don't wait for the betrayal. Listen to the tension. Protect your space. Walk with those who genuinely want to see you rise. Let go of those who only applaud when you lose. Manipulation isn't always obvious, but it's always harmful. It often wears the mask of concern, charm, or affection. The manipulator doesn't always shout or demand. Instead, they twist the truth, distort your words, and make you question your reality. They rarely take responsibility for their actions, and if they ever do, it's calculated to serve their own image. One moment they lift you up, the next they make you feel inadequate. And in that cycle, you become confused, dependent, and emotionally exhausted. The danger lies not in what they say, but in how they make you feel about yourself. You begin to feel guilty for setting boundaries. You feel obligated to explain your every move. You second-guess your decisions, your values, your voice. That's the art of manipulation. It creates a fog in your mind. A fog that causes you to overlook red flags, justify bad behavior, and remain in spaces where your soul is slowly being silenced. These people don't need to raise their voice to control you. They control through silence, through passive aggression, through selective affection and emotional withdrawal. They create situations where you are always the one apologizing, always the one overcompensating. Manipulators often play the victim when confronted. They flip the script so fast that you're left wondering if you were wrong all along. That's how they maintain control. They don't want equality in relationships. They want dominance disguised as emotional need. They depend on your empathy. They rely on your tendency to see the good in people, to give second chances, to keep the peace. But peace built on manipulation is not peace. It's quiet oppression. You must learn to spot this dynamic early. Pay attention to how people respond when you say no. Watch how they react when you stand up for yourself. The moment someone tries to guilt you into submission or twist your truth to serve their comfort, you are dealing with manipulation. And the only way to break free is through clarity and courage. Clarity to see the pattern, and courage to walk away, even if they call you heartless for doing so. You are not here to be controlled, to be used, or to carry the emotional weight of someone who refuses to be honest. Protect your truth. Honor your voice. If someone needs to manipulate you to stay in your life, they were never meant to be there. Chaos is not passion. It's unhealed pain. There are people who confuse emotional volatility with depth. They believe that raising their voice, breaking down in tears, or unleashing anger means they care deeply. But what it really means is that they haven't learned to regulate their emotions. They live in a state of internal disorder, and instead of managing it, they spill it onto everyone around them. One moment they adore you. The next, they blame you for their unhappiness. You find yourself constantly adjusting, constantly guessing, constantly anxious. Not because you've done something wrong, but because their emotions swing like a pendulum, and you're caught in the middle. These people don't seek connection. They seek emotional rescue. They mistake chaos for chemistry. They think drama means intensity and unpredictability means excitement, but love should not feel like survival. Real connection is steady, not unstable. It is calm, not chaotic. Yet the person stuck in emotional disarray believes peace is boring because they are addicted to emotional highs and lows. They unconsciously recreate conflict because it feels familiar. And if you allow yourself to stay in that dynamic, you will begin to mistake that pattern for love. The truth is, people who have not healed will project their wounds onto those closest to them. They will create storms and then expect you to be the shelter. They will erupt with emotion and demand that you absorb it without resistance. And when you finally draw a boundary, they'll call you cold or unloving. But their chaos is not your responsibility. It is not your job to fix what they refuse to confront. You cannot build a stable life with someone who is emotionally unstable. You cannot grow in an environment that constantly burns. Chaos over time erodes your peace, your confidence, and your clarity. It blinds you to your worth. It conditions you to accept dysfunction as normal. The most powerful decision you can make is to walk away from chaos and choose calm. Choose steady love. Choose emotional safety. Because real strength is not found in intensity, it's found in peace. Do not let someone's unhealed past become your present prison. You are not here to be someone's emotional punching bag. You are here to thrive. Let chaos heal on its own time, but don't let it destroy yours. You become who you tolerate. The people you surround yourself with are not just part of your environment. They shape it. Every conversation you engage in, every attitude you absorb, every habit you witness repeatedly begins to influence your mindset, your standards, and your energy. You may not notice it at first. It starts subtly. A lowered ambition here, a dismissed value there. But over time, what you tolerate becomes what you normalize, and what you normalize becomes who you are. If you constantly tolerate negativity, you'll find your optimism shrinking. If you tolerate laziness, you'll feel your own discipline begin to erode. If you tolerate gossip, you'll start to speak with less integrity. No matter how strong you think you are, no one is immune to the slow influence of a toxic atmosphere. The people closest to you either challenge you to grow or pull you back into comfort and mediocrity. That's why tolerating the wrong people isn't just dangerous, it's self-destructive. Sometimes it's not about cutting people off harshly. It's about becoming conscious of how their presence affects you. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel inspired or drained, empowered or confused, uplifted or subtly disrespected? Your energy never lies. The wrong people will have you justifying your boundaries, questioning your goals, and watering yourself down to make them comfortable. That is not love. That is not loyalty. That is silent sabotage. Tolerating what goes against your values is the fastest way to lose yourself. It teaches your mind to settle. It teaches your heart to accept less than it deserves. And it sends a message to your soul that peace is negotiable. But peace should never be the price you pay to keep someone in your life. Raise your standards, not from arrogance but from clarity. Be kind, but be firm. Be open, but be wise. Your time and energy are sacred. Who you let in determines what you let grow. You cannot build an extraordinary life surrounded by ordinary effort, shallow values, or small thinking. Your future is too important to share it with those who refuse to grow. Choose wisely, because ultimately, you don't just attract what you are. You become what you allow.